Hey, Kevin here, Top 100 Financial Advisor and best-selling author, and we are here to talk about the stock market. Today I want to give you my three-step process or my three-step thought process or rules, if you will, around selling a stock and how I go through it, why I go through it, and some things that you may want to take from it. Now, I'll be transparent as always. Number one, you can go to my portfolio on public. You can scroll all the way back to June and you can see the selling process and talk about some of the stocks I own and why I sold them and got rid of them. And you can look right back to today and see whether those were good moves or not. But I'll tell you now, this process is not perfect. No one's process is perfect, okay? So I'll actually go through some of the things that I wish I would have kept, and then some that I'm like, man, I'm glad I sold those. So I have my notes here, and we'll go through it. But step one, or rule number one, is the first thing I do, the very first thing I do is say, how well did this company compare to the S&P 500? Which is basically to say, did you beat the market or did you not beat the market? Because if you didn't beat the market, I'm already upset with you as a company because I'm taking on more risk. I could have had 500 companies in the S&P 500. I said, no, I'm not going to put a whole bunch of money there. I'm going to put my money in you. And if you don't beat the market, we're going to have some issues because I could have just did that. That was easy. Could just put my money in index fund and been fine. And you decided not to do as well as the index fund. Now, some companies do extremely well all the time beating the index. Some don't. And when you don't do that, you're already on my red flag list. But the second thing, and it might even be a little bit more important, is to also compare with its peers. So for example, we're going to talk a little bit about T-Mobile. I want to see, one, did you beat the S&P 500? The answer is no. Okay, well, did you at least beat Verizon? And did you beat AT&T? The answer is no. You got to go. I'm sorry. If that answer is no, you didn't do it, you definitely have to go. If the answer is yes, you did beat Verizon and AT&T, if this is T-Mobile, right? I'm not going to compare Google to those. But if it did, then we're going to have a conversation. Perhaps we'll move on to rule number two. Okay, so I'm always looking at, did you beat the S&P 500? Yes or no, over the same period of time. I want to be very specific about that. And then I'm going to move over and say, how well did you do compared to your peers over the same amount of time? When I say the same amount of time, I'm saying from, if I'm looking at 6 months, last 6 months, better than the S&P 500? Yes or no? Better than your peers? Yes or no? Then we move on to rule number two. And here, rule number two is, what do I expect for the future? What do I expect for any of these companies moving forward? What do I know about the next 6 months? What do I know about the next year? What do we think we know about the next 6 months or the next year? And is that environment going to help or hurt the company that I'm investing in? This is hard, okay? Right now, and I've talked about this before, 2022 is a little hazy. There's a lot of events that could shake up the market either positively or negatively. And I need to sit down and say, okay, well, based on what I think I know about 2022, is this a company to hold on to because I think things are going to be fine or not? A great example for me is Capital One. And I'll bring this up here. So from January to June 2021, the entire stock market was up 15%. That's context, okay? From January to June. However, the market from July to now, December 22nd, from July to now, the stock market was only up 9%. So I got 15% in the first half of the year, 9% in basically the second half of the year. That's my bar. So if I look at Capital One here, Capital One was up 59% in the first half of the year. That's a no-brainer. In fact, that's why I invested in Capital One. It's one of the reasons why I invested in Capital One. But then we hit the second half of the year. In the second half of the year, Capital One is actually down -7%. Stock market is up 9%. Second half, second half of Capital One is down 7%. So you gave me 59%. You gave the world 59% because I hadn't owned it yet. So you gave the world 59%. I decided to hop in July, and you give me -7. So now you've already missed out on question number one. You didn't beat the S&P 500. Now in real life, because we're just doing this in a short video here, I would go back and compare Capital One during the same period of time with JP Morgan. I'd also compare with Bank of America, maybe an Ally, to really see like how well does this stack up with everybody else. Is Capital One just one company that just didn't do well at all compared to others in the second half? Or is this just normal for everybody in this space during the second half? But the second thing is, well, what do I expect for next year? Well, next year in 2022, I expect, doesn't mean it's going to happen, I expect the Federal Reserve to continue tapering or to really speed up that tapering process, and I expect them to raise interest rates, which is supposed to help financial companies like Capital One. So in this case, this on paper, right? Still more research to do, still more things to kind of sort out. I really want to compare how Capital One is doing with the compared to other banks and credit card companies. But on paper right now, it might be something to hold. I'm down 7. I can come back in July and see if these predictions or these hypotheses were correct, and we'll see if the market kind of takes it up and we do better than 7%. That is a case, right? We'll see if that actually happens. More things I want to do and compare. I'll go into step 3 as well. But this is the logic behind it as well. All right, you didn't do well that second half of the year. You see why I invested. Something's up 59%. It's a solid company to make money, all that kind of stuff. Yeah, anybody at that point in time in June, July-ish, Capital One was a super easy pick. It didn't happen. So now we need to make some decisions. We need to have a coming to Jesus moment and decide whether or not we should keep it or not. But looking forward, it makes sense as to why someone would keep a company like this. What if, right? This is that buy low period. What if, the entire segment was down? And if I want to throw this in with payment companies, I don't really think it's the best fit in the world, but PayPal was down 20 some odd percent. Square is down double digits. MasterCard and Visa, they're down. So maybe this is normal because a big part, not the entire part, but a big part of Capital One's business is their credit card. What if there's a link there? What if, right? I'm not telling you there is. I'm saying these are questions I want to ask myself. So these are things I look into. And then going to rule number 3, I have a lot of writing on the screen here, is how long have I held it? That is an extremely important part as well. There's a tax reason as to why you may want to hold a year and a day or more than a year, or for me, I say a minimum of 6 months. That gives you enough time and enough data and information to make a decision. That doesn't mean that you are going to make the right decision because it was magically 6 months. The reason why I choose 6 months and a year as my evaluation periods is because there was a study by the University of California at Los Angeles, or UCLA, for short, the Anderson School of Business. This came out maybe 2017 or so. They did a really nice article about momentum investing and how that 6 to 12 months period can somewhat be a predictor of how well the market or that particular company is going to do in the future. It is not a 100% guarantee. Okay, we saw this with Capital One. You were up 59% in the first half of 2021. Second half, you were nowhere near that. So no, it is not a 100% of the time this is what's going to happen. The market moves, the market changes, and we saw this with Capital One. However, if it hasn't been 6 months, that's not enough time for me to really have enough to say this is what I need to do, or this is what happened, we were wrong, this is what happened, we were correct. That's not enough time. So many things, both positive and negative, can happen during that time, and I'll give you a case for this as well. So Thermo Fisher was a company that I owned earlier this year. I actually bought it, I want to say in December. It might have been December. I'm sorry, not December. January of 2021. Yeah, January 2021, if I'm not mistaken. I picked up Thermo Fisher. I looked at the financials, looked at the charts. I'm like, okay, this looks like a good, decent company for at least 6 months. I think this is a go. Invested in it, I got 8%. 8% was fine. But remember, January, right, from January 2021 to June 2021, which June 30th to be exact, if you're looking at on Yahoo Finance, I was saying, okay, well, it got me 8%, but the stock market during that same period of time, the S&P 500 got me 15. I'm double checking my numbers here. Got me 15. So I'm like, look, I could have done almost twice as good. I could have doubled my returns, right? The stock market doubled you up, beat you 2 times, right? Basically. And I said, okay, well, Thermo Fisher might not be it. I made money in this case, right? Made money on paper. Let's just get rid of Thermo Fisher. Maybe we can find something better. You got dubbed basically by the S&P 500. Now you turn around and you go from July 1 to today. Thermo Fisher is up 29%. 29% is what Thermo Fisher is up from the 1st of July to now, compared to just the 9% of the S&P 500. Sometimes you miss. Right? I thought 6 months was enough time. I thought based on what we had at that point in time, cut your losses or take your gains rather, because in this case we didn't lose. Take your gains, decide to do something different. It is what it is, right? And sometimes you miss, and it's up 29% from that point, and every other day I'm saying new all-time high for Thermo Fisher. Hey, not perfect, right? It does happen. So that's kind of the give and take that you look at sometimes when you're holding for that period. You only have the information you have at that point in time, and then you have to make a determination. So we're doing that exact same thing with Capital One, where a year from now, could I be looking back and say, man, there goes that 59% again, and we absolutely missed? Or could it be a chance where we say, oh, great, I got out of this company based on what we had? So T-Mobile, I have it here, T-Mobile was another company that I owned, and we let go of it in June. From January to June 2021, T-Mobile was up 8%. Now, previously, if I got the numbers, if I remember correctly, in 2020, T-Mobile was up like 80% or something like that. It was a really, really great company in 2020. So because people are still using their phones and we're still in the pandemic at this point in time, one would assume that T-Mobile is still going to continue to grow. And the first half, it did. It was up 8%. I sold. I said, look, it was a struggle. There are times where T-Mobile was negative. I don't know what happened. I wanted some of what happened in 2020 to translate over into 2022 or 2021. Sorry, it didn't. So I sold. You know what happened to T-Mobile after that? T-Mobile went down 16% in the second half of this year. Good, right? I'm glad I got out when I could. So sometimes you're gonna be right in a T-Mobile and you get out at the right time and you just let the stock continue to fall. Or sometimes you're wrong, even though you made money if you had Thermo Fisher, and the stock market or that particular stock takes off, even though you've already made the exit. So sometimes you're going to be right, sometimes you're going to be wrong in some cases. Other times you can take a gain, right, or take a loss and then takes off after. So which would have been terrible if I owned Thermo Fisher and lost money and then it takes off 29%. That didn't happen in this case with the data that we have here. But again, that is a risk. Okay, that is a risk. All right, so the last rule is, actually that was the last rule. So again, compare to the S&P 500 and its peers. See what they are doing during that period of time. So again, S&P 500 this year, up 15% in the first half, up 9% in the second half. Okay, that's the bar. If you're not hitting those marks, there's a conversation that needs to be had. And once that conversation needs to be had, one of those questions in that conversation should be, well, what am I thinking about for the future? That's hard. Again, none of us have crystal balls. We have to say, based on the economics, based on the growth of the company, perhaps you're looking into their annual reports, their quarterly reports, and they'll tell you what they expect for the future. And if those things are good, perhaps you're going to hold on to it, or perhaps you're going to let it go. Totally up to you. And then the last one is, how long have I held? If I had it for at least 6 months, you have enough information to say, hey, we're going to keep it, we're going to keep going, or just compare it to the market. I think I can find something better. So those are the ones that you want to look at. I have a few more stocks one more that I had that we'll discuss as well. And that was Equinix, ticker symbol EQIX. It was like a technology data REIT. They own data centers, which people going to the cloud was supposed to be really important. Now, this one I think I actually owned in 2020, not in 2021, but the data and the process still goes together. So, for example, from the first half of the year, from January to June, it was up 11%. Stock market up 15%. So you're a little bit below, but hey, it is what it is, right? However, it was only up 2% in the second half of the year. So that could have been an opportunity for you to say, look, you didn't beat the stock market. You were off by 4 percentage points, which isn't the most, but hey, an L is an L, and you could have got rid of it. And in the rest of the year, it only made 2%, even though the stock market was up 9%. There you go. Right, so that would have been, in some people's books, that would have been a win. But again, that's a 3-step process. That is the rules and the process I go through when I decide to get rid of a stock or keep a stock. Is how well did you do versus the S&P 500? How well did you do compared to your peers? That's kind of one question. What do I think about the future prospects of the company? And then how long have I held? And in some cases, maybe even a Capital One, I am considering, because I bought it just 6 months ago. I bought it in June, or June/July. I might just hold it until next June/July and then make a determination there. See if the Fed actually raises interest rates. See if that even matters. See how the supply chain changes everything. See when and if we ever pay student loans again. I don't know. That was just paused again. See how that affects the company. It may not. So we'll see. We will see. And then we'll come back and do a reaction video and an analysis to see if that was the right move or not. So we'll make those determinations at that point in time. So that is my 3-step process, my 3 rules before you sell stock, because a lot of people ask. I also tell you this, I wouldn't apply this to crypto. This is not, this and crypto completely different, because crypto moves a lot faster. It's a 24-hour market. There are a lot less fundamentals to analyze. So don't do this with crypto. You do what you want on crypto. When I come up with a better process, then I'll let y'all know. When more papers and data come out, I'll let you know. A lot of what I do as an investor, a lot of what I did as an advisor and an author is I research, read as many academic papers as I possibly can, and then use that to form my investing decisions. There haven't been a whole bunch yet written about crypto and how that whole process works. So I'm not going to talk about what I don't know. Okay, so I know some stuff. That stuff we put on the channel. Things I don't know, I'll go read and research and study, and then we'll talk about it. So crypto's different story about buying and selling. The stock market, we have 50 plus years, we have 100 plus years, but 50 plus years of important data that we use, and that is what I'm giving to you. All right, so before you go, make sure you hit the like button, the subscribe button, hit the share button, share this channel with other people. Let's grow together. Definitely want to hit like 5,000 in 2022. We are already halfway there. All right, that's it for me. I'll talk to you guys later.